Jaewon Park sat in the back of his high school classroom, drumming his fingers against the wooden desk. Another ordinary Tuesday at Busan International High School was about to begin. The morning sunlight filtered through the windows, casting long shadows across the polished floor. The classroom door opened, and everyone's attention shifted. A new student stood beside Mr. Kim, the homeroom teacher. She was different not just because she was new, but something about her seemed slightly out of place. Her skin had an odd, soft shimmer that caught the light in ways that seemed almost impossible, like mother of pearl but more alive. "This is Hyejin Kim," Mr. Kim announced, his voice neutral and professional. "She's a transfer student from overseas." The students exchanged curious glances. Her accent was perfect, her appearance mostly normal, but there was something undefined about her that made Jaewon's skin prickle with curiosity. She wore the standard school uniform. A crisp white shirt, dark blue skirt, and black shoes, but even in standard clothing, she seemed slightly disconnected from everyone else. Hyejin's eyes swept across the classroom. They were an unusual shade of green, deeper than any natural eye color Jaewon had ever seen. When her gaze briefly met his, he felt a strange sensation, like she was looking not just at him, but through him. "Please introduce yourself," Mr. Kim prompted. Hyejin stepped forward. Her movements were smooth, almost too precise. "I'm Hyejin," she said simply. "I'm excited to be here and hope to learn a lot from everyone." The standard introduction, but something about her tone suggested she meant something entirely different from what her words implied. Jaewon watched as she was assigned a seat near the window. The other students whispered, stealing glances. Some girls giggled, some boys looked impressed, but Jaewon felt something more, a sense that this was more than just another transfer student. During lunch, he noticed how Hyejin ate differently. Her movements were calculated, her food selection precise. While other students chatted and laughed, she observed everything with an intensity that seemed more like research than social interaction. During science class, things got even more interesting. When the chemistry teacher discussed molecular structures, Hyejin's hand shot up. Her explanation went far beyond the textbook, describing atomic interactions with a depth that made the teacher pause in surprise. "How do you know all this?" the teacher asked, clearly impressed. Hyejin just smiled. A smile that seemed to hold secrets larger than this classroom, larger perhaps than this entire planet. Jaewon couldn't stop watching her. Something about her suggested she wasn't just a student. Her knowledge seemed too vast, her movements too controlled. When she dropped her pencil, it didn't fall like a normal pencil would, it seemed to float momentarily before touching the ground. After school, as students rushed out, Hyejin moved differently. While others hurried and pushed, she walked with a calm precision that made her stand out. Her backpack seemed lighter than it should be, her steps more balanced than a typical teenager's. Jaewon wasn't sure why, but he felt drawn to understanding her. Who was Hyejin? Where did she really come from? And why did he have the strangest feeling that her arrival meant something significant was about to happen? As the school day ended and students scattered across Busan, Hyejin walked alone, her green eyes scanning the environment with an awareness that suggested she was watching, waiting, and preparing for something far beyond a typical high school day. Little did Jaewon know that this seemingly ordinary Tuesday was about to become anything but normal. The midnight hour hung heavy in Jaewon's bedroom. Moonlight spilled through the window, casting soft shadows across his cluttered desk and poster-covered walls. His smartphone lay charging, the blue LED blinking quietly in the darkness. Something moved. At first, Jaewon thought it was just a shadow shifting. But shadows don't breathe. Shadows don't have precise, calculated movements. This presence was different. Hyejin stood at the edge of his bed, her form slightly blurred in the darkness. Her skin seemed to absorb and reflect moonlight simultaneously, creating an effect that wasn't quite natural. She carried a device that looked nothing like any technology Jaewon had ever seen. Is sleek, metallic, with soft blue lines pulsing along its surface. "Don't make a sound," she whispered. Jaewon wanted to scream. He wanted to jump, to call for his parents. But something in her voice froze him. Not fear exactly, but a strange sense that whatever was happening was bigger than his typical teenage reactions. Her fingers moved across the device. Holographic images flickered around her. Star maps, complex mathematical equations, silhouettes of structures that didn't look human. Each movement was precise, calculated, like a scientist conducting a critical experiment. "You're not supposed to be here," Jaewon finally managed to say. Hyejine's green eyes locked onto him. They weren't just looking at him, they were analyzing him. "I'm exactly where I need to be," she responded. The device in her hand began to emit a soft humming sound. The room's temperature dropped slightly. Electronic devices around the room, his laptop, phone charger, small desk lamp, seemed to flicker in pulse and rhythm with her device. "What do you want?" Jaewon asked. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she continued manipulating her strange technology. Streams of data, if you could call them that, danced around her fingers like liquid light. "Your planet," Hygiene finally said, "is in a more critical position than you understand." Jaewon realized several impossible things simultaneously. First, she had broken into his room. Second, she was definitely not a normal high school student. Third, something significant was about to happen. The device suddenly projected a three-dimensional map. Planetary systems, spacecraft trajectories, and complex mathematical calculations surrounded her. Jaewon could see Earth, a small blue dot among countless other celestial bodies. "We've been watching," she continued. "And now, a decision must be made." Outside, a car passed. Its headlights swept across the room, momentarily breaking the strange stillness. But Hygiene didn't move. She remained perfectly still, her attention split between Jaewon and the holographic display. Jaewon realized he had a choice. He could scream. He could call the police. He could wake his parents. Or he could listen. "What decision?" he asked. Hygiene's smile was both reassuring and completely terrifying. "Whether humanity is ready," she said simply. The device pulsed. The room's temperature dropped another degree. And Jaewon understood, with absolute clarity, that this was not a dream. This was real. Whatever was happening right now, in his bedroom, in the middle of the night. Something was coming. And Hygiene was her. The morning after Hygiene's midnight visit, Jaewon's world felt different. Ordinary things, his breakfast, the school bus, the morning chatter, seemed like background noise to something much larger. During lunch, Hygiene approached his table. Her movements were calm, deliberate. She sat down without asking, as if their midnight encounter was the most normal thing in the world. "Humans are interesting," she said, opening a lunchbox that contained food that looked almost, but not quite, like normal food. Jaewon stared. "What do you mean?" She pulled out a small device, not the one from last night, but something equally strange. It projected a tiny holographic image between them. Star systems, complex networks, and strange spacecraft flickered like a secret message. "Your planet sits at a critical point in galactic geography," Hygiene explained. Her voice was soft, but each word carried weight. "Most advanced civilizations think humans are primitive. Unprepared. Weak." The hologram showed different alien species, some beautiful, some terrifying. Massive ships moved between star systems, creating complex pathways that looked like intricate spider webs. "But we've been watching," she continued. "And humans are different. You adapt. You survive. You change faster than any species we've documented." Jaewon noticed other students weren't paying attention. To them, it looked like a normal lunch conversation. But something extraordinary was happening right here, right now. The hologram shifted. Now it showed conflict, spacecraft battling, strange weapons firing, entire planetary systems being consumed. Jaewon saw destruction on a scale he couldn't comprehend. "A predatory species is coming," Hygiene said. "They consume worlds. Destroy civilizations. And they've marked Earth as their next target." Her green eyes locked with his. In that moment, Jaewon understood something profound: he was being chosen. Selected. For what, he didn't yet know. "Why me?" he asked. Hygiene's smile was complex. Part amusement, part serious calculation. Because you represent something they don't understand. Potential. The hologram disappeared. Around them, students continued eating, talking, living their normal lives. But nothing would be normal again. What do I need to do? J1 whispered. Learn, she responded. Prepare. Understand that everything you know about your world is about to change. A strange device buzzed softly in her pocket. Her expression changed, just for a moment, revealing something that looked like concern. Or maybe warning. They're closer than we thought, she muttered. J1 felt something shift inside him. Fear. Excitement. A strange sense of purpose. He was no longer just a high school student. He was something else. Something more. The lunch bell rang. Students started moving. But J1 and Hygiene remained still, connected by a secret larger than their small table, larger than their school, larger than their entire planet. Something was coming. And they would be ready. The abandoned warehouse at the edge of Busan seemed ordinary from the outside. Inside, however, was anything but normal. Hygiene had transformed the space into a training ground that defied everything J1 understood about reality. Holographic targets danced around the room. Strange devices hummed with energy that made the air feel thick and electric. J1 stood in the center, breathing heavily, sweat dripping from his forehead. Again, Hygiene commanded. For weeks, she had been training him. Not like a typical martial arts class. This was something entirely different. She taught him to move, to think, to react in ways that seemed impossible. A floating target appeared. J1's hand moved, not with muscle, but with something else. A combination of calculated precision and instinctive understanding. The target shattered into millions of tiny light particles. Interesting, Hygiene muttered. She explained that humans had a unique ability to adapt faster than any known species. Where other civilizations took generations to change, humans could transform in weeks, sometimes days. This adaptability was their greatest weapon. The incoming threat doesn't understand flexibility, she told him. They are rigid. Predictable. You are not. Training wasn't just physical. Hygiene taught J1 to read complex alien communication patterns. Strange symbols that looked like a mix between mathematical equations and living language danced across screens. He learned to understand them, slowly but surely. Each day, the training became more intense. J1 learned to control technology with his mind. He discovered how to sense electromagnetic changes. His body became something more than human, but not quite alien. Your species has potential you cannot imagine, Hygiene would say. Most advanced civilizations see humans as children. We see something else. The devices around the warehouse began to pulse. Star maps appeared, showing approaching threats. Dark shapes moved between planetary systems, getting closer to Earth with each passing day. J1's phone would occasionally show strange messages. Coordinates. Warning signals. Encrypted communications that looked like random noise to anyone else. His parents thought he was attending extra study sessions. His school friends believed he was preparing for university entrance exams. Nobody knew the truth, that he was being prepared to potentially save humanity. Hygiene was both teacher and guardian. Her movements were always precise, her instructions exact. She showed no emotion, but J1 sensed something beneath her calm exterior. A deep respect. Maybe even hope. Humans fight, she explained one evening. When others would surrender, you create solutions. When others see impossible, you see opportunity. The warehouse walls were covered with complex diagrams. Star charts. Technological schematics. Mathematical equations that looked like living art. Each represented a piece of the coming conflict. J1 no longer felt like a high school student. He felt like something else. A defender. A potential savior. The first wave will arrive soon, Hygiene said one night, her green eyes reflecting holographic data. And humanity must be ready. Her hand touched a device. Entire star systems transformed around them. Potential futures. Potential destructions. Potential survival. J1 understood now. This wasn't just about fighting. This was about proving that humanity was more than what others believed. This was about showing that a small planet could stand against something much larger. The warehouse hummed with potential energy. Outside, Busan continued its normal life. Cars moved. People worked. Children played. Nobody knew how close they were to everything changing forever. The sky over Busan changed first. Not dramatically, but subtly. The blue transformed into something metallic, with strange silver lines cutting through clouds like invisible razor blades. J1 stood beside Hygiene on the rooftop of his apartment building. Their training had prepared them for this moment. Around them, the city continued its normal routine. People walking, cars moving, nobody realizing what was about to happen. "They're here," Hygiene whispered. The first alien spacecraft appeared silently. It wasn't like movies depicted, no dramatic explosions, no massive metal monsters. This was something more precise. Like a surgical knife cutting through reality. Massive ships moved in perfect geometric patterns. They were designed for consumption, not just invasion, but complete planetary absorption. Hundreds of smaller craft surrounded the larger vessels, scanning, probing, preparing. J1's body felt different. The training had changed him. He could sense electromagnetic shifts. He could read communication signals that would look like random noise to anyone else. "Humans are considered weak," Hygiene explained. "They think we will surrender quickly." Her device activated. Complex holographic interfaces surrounded them, showing invasion trajectories, potential defensive positions, and mathematical probability models of survival. The first attack came unexpectedly. Not with weapons, but with a massive electromagnetic pulse designed to disable all technology. But something unexpected happened. Instead of complete shutdown, human technology adapted. Phones transformed. Computer systems reconfigured. Traffic lights became communication nodes. Every piece of technology became a potential weapon. J1 raised his hand. The rooftop device responded, creating a defensive shield that looked like liquid light. The alien pulse hit and shattered against their protection. "Impossible," a translation device whispered. The alien language sounded like complex mathematical equations. Hygiene smiled. A smile that contained entire universes of meaning. Military systems worldwide began responding. Not with traditional weapons, but with adaptive technologies. Satellites became defensive platforms. Internet networks transformed into communication weapons. The aliens had expected a simple conquest. They found a living, breathing, fighting organism called humanity. J1's body moved differently now. Part human, part something else. He could see invasion patterns. He could predict movements before they happened. The training had transformed him into a living weapon. Spacecraft began falling. Not destroyed, but redirected. Pushed away by technologies that seemed to think and breathe. "We adapt," J1 said, repeating what Hygiene had taught him. The confrontation lasted hours, but felt like moments. Cities became defensive platforms. Every human technology became a potential shield, a potential weapon. When it ended, the sky cleared. The alien ships retreated, not defeated, but surprised. They had found something unexpected in their calculations. A species that refused to be conquered. Hygiene looked at J1. "Humanity," she said, "is not what they expected." The city below continued its normal rhythm. Nobody would fully understand how close they had come to complete destruction. Nobody would know how a teenage boy and an alien had changed everything. But something had shifted. Permanently. Humanity had passed its first true galactic test. And they had done so by being exactly what they were: unpredictable, adaptable, and unbreakable. To determine if he was prepared. The night stretched around them, full of unspoken possibilities and silent, world-changing secrets.